If you do decide to testify on your own behalf, there's a few things you should keep in mind. Number one, tell the truth. Do not get up on the stand and lie. And there's several reasons why you should always tell the truth on the stand. Number one, it is a crime to lie under oath. This is perjury. So if you get up on the stand and you lie under oath, you might not only be opening yourself up to getting cross-examined on a lie, but you could be creating more legal problems for yourself by getting yourself a new case where you're charged with perjury. Always tell the truth on the stand. There's an old saying that an honest man has nothing to fear, and these should be words that guide you when you're testifying on your own behalf at trial.
A judge has firmly shut down Diddy during the current trial, accusing the music mogul of lying under oath. The courtroom was tense as the court questioned Diddy's veracity and brought up inconsistencies in his evidence that both fans and legal pros found troubling. This sudden interaction raises concerns about Diddy's integrity and highlights the high-stakes aspect of the case, raising worries about how this will affect the trial's result.
Violently forcing sexual contact, oral sex, and sexual intercourse on the plaintiff, end quote. In addition, the complaint alleges in the second cause of action that defendant Combs and another defendant committed a violation of New York civil rights law, quote, section 52-B, end quote, by, quote, raping plaintiff and recording it. Defendants caused plaintiff to be depicted in a video image, unclothed and with intimate body parts exposed, and engaged in sexual conduct with another person, end quote. The lawsuit also alleges that, quote, defendant Combs and another defendant published and/or disseminated the videos without plaintiff's knowledge or consent on information and belief.
Diddy is accused of lying throughout his court case, and if this is proven, he could face serious consequences such as perjury. Giving false testimony under oath is a serious offense that can result in criminal charges based on the severity of the false statements he made, heavy fines, or even jail time.
If you lie in court, you could be charged with perjury. It's a third-degree felony, and it carries a 5-year prison sentence. So if you get on the stand and you lie in court, you're facing 5 years in prison, and that's definitely not worth it.
This is why disrespecting a judge is a terrible idea. Whether you want to accept it or not, the judge has some power over your case. Let's say you force the judge to dislike you, and you're the plaintiff in the case. Then any ruling that judge can make in the future that's right on that 50-50 line, guess what? It's probably going to tip over in favor of the defense now. It's just much better to respect the judge and not risk anything going wrong down the line.
In addition to the legal ramifications, his reputation and public image would be damaged, which may harm his business endeavors and job. Any testimony or evidence he offered could also be rejected, which would weaken his case and his legal situation. Lying in court can intensify legal disputes and have a long-term impact on his personal and work life.
Have you ever asked yourself what actually happens when you lie in court? Well, you know it's called perjury. Let's talk about it. The most important thing that happens is that the jury is not going to believe another word out of your mouth. You may not end up in jail, but you could. And you may not get fined, but you could. But the real risk that you run every single time is that the jury or the judge will see that you've lied and they will not believe you, and you will lose your case.
In an attempt to speed up the legal process, Diddy is said to have asked for a speedy hearing, which suggests that he is desperate to leave jail as soon as possible. The urgency of this request may be linked to his recent actions in court, where he is accused of lying to the judge. His haste to settle the matter may have led him to think that lying under oath would help him avoid more complications, but lying under oath can backfire, and this attempt to manipulate the court could now worsen his legal troubles if proven.
What is a speedy trial right is one of the more confusing concepts in our criminal justice system that people don't understand. This doesn't mean you must have a super quick trial or even a super long trial. This doesn't mean that the moment you get your ticket that you can go on the run for a certain amount of time. What this means is that the moment your case is filed in court, you must have a trial by a certain deadline. That is your speedy trial right. That time deadline might actually change based on the charges you're facing and whether you're in custody during this time. Your defense attorney might even continue some of these deadlines in order to give you a better defense. But ultimately, from the beginning of the moment the charge is filed, to your trial is your right to a speedy trial.
Following an indictment on several major charges, including abduction and trafficking, Diddy was recently arrested in Manhattan. The high-profile arrest sent shockwaves through the entertainment business, with many people shocked by the seriousness of the accusations. If found guilty, Diddy could face harsh legal penalties, such as lengthy prison sentences and sizable fines. These accusations indicate a major change in his public persona and may have a lasting impact on his legacy and career. The case is currently being closely monitored by both legal professionals and fans, who are keeping tabs on every move in the case.
I'm going to tell you the craziest thing about Diddy being locked up right now, facing mandatory minimums, the possibility of life in federal prison. Go read the transcript from the bond hearing and listen to what the defense says they believe is the start of the feds looking into P. Diddy. The defense says, my read of it, many months ago, a woman approaches Diddy and says, hey, this is through lawyers, we're going to be releasing a tell-all book about this woman's experience with Diddy over all the years. And it's going to make you look like a monster. And if you don't want that book to get out there, you can buy the exclusive rights to it for $30 million. Catch and kill this book. Diddy's team says no. Woman comes back with a lawyer. We're going to file a civil lawsuit against you because it's not just stuff that makes for good print. These are civil claims that we can bring and we can win millions of dollars. Diddy's team says, okay, bring the lawsuit. They bring the lawsuit, and within like hours, it's settled for, surprise, surprise, $30 million. After those things happened, a line of people came with stories to get their check too. Hey, if she got 30 mil, what can I get off this guy? I was there. I saw this. I heard that. And that then led to a federal investigation. See, people think, oh, somebody's out to get him. He pissed off the wrong person. It's the alcohol company that, nah. You guys got to understand that there's prosecutors out there who want big, sexy cases.
Diddy has made a not guilty plea to the serious charges against him, which include kidnapping, trafficking, and racketeering. Despite this, the court has twice rejected Diddy's request for bail, citing the seriousness of the allegations and the flight risk. Diddy's circumstances are made more difficult by the rejection of bail, which keeps him behind bars while he prepares for his defense.
Services is monitoring. So she said there was nothing that his lawyers had offered that made her feel comfortable that he would return to this courthouse for subsequent court hearings and for a trial. She said that it was both his substance abuse and the fact that some of this physical abuse that's been alleged occurred when he was using drugs and alcohol, that was the reason why she couldn't trust that he would not commit any additional crimes while he was left on bail. So Sean Diddy Combs is not going to be walking out this door. He is in federal custody where he will be unless his lawyers are able to convince a different judge to release him.
His repeated requests for release show a strong desire to avoid being detained for an extended period of time. But the court's decisions indicate that the legal system is treating his alleged crimes seriously. His continued detention and recent actions in court raise concerns about how his case will progress.
Rapper Sean Diddy Combs remains behind bars this morning while he awaits trial for his alleged sex crimes. Cheryl Casoni with the details now. Cheryl.
Maria, this case continues to be fascinating. Sean Diddy Combs reportedly now has been placed on suicide watch after being denied bail in his sex trafficking and racketeering trial. This was first reported, by the way, by People magazine, this new information. Now, although his mental state is unclear, Combs is being held, we know, at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center. His lawyer has said that he wants to see Diddy move to a federal facility in New Jersey. We shall see. He's been denied bail twice this week. Now, all of this coming as his former protege, Shine, says that his life was, quote, destroyed by Diddy after he was convicted of first-degree assault in a 1999 New York City nightclub shooting and then sentenced to 10 years in prison. Diddy was also accused in that shooting, but during the trial said he fired the gun in self-defense, and then he was acquitted on all charges. Combs' next court appearance is set for October 9th.
Well, Diddy is not giving up, even before he gets to the trial, he's not giving up on trying to get out of jail. You know that he has been turned down twice to get out on bail, and he is being held in Brooklyn and will be there until the trial begins.
Unless he appeals and an appeals court says the judge was wrong, the judge should have allowed him to post bail, which is exactly what they are going to try and do.
Right, and he has brought in new lawyers to try and get this done. Get to the lawyers in a second. I just don't know how has the argument changed?
The problem is this, that
the same things that the judge said before.
There's a legal standard when you appeal something like this. And the legal standard is, did the judge abuse his discretion? Because ultimately, this is a discretionary thing. And it is a high standard for an appellate court to meet to say, we're going to superimpose our view of it over the trial judge's view of it. And what the trial judge was saying is, look, he is a flight risk and a danger in the sense that he's tried to intimidate and influence witnesses in the case.
He's been in the spotlight for decades. He's obviously got a pretty big bank account, living in mansions in multiple cities, and that's what he's used to. And all of a sudden, he's in a prison that's being described as deplorable. I mean, just that unto itself, is that a major change?
Of course, the bigger they come, the harder they fall. And I sort of think that's what the prurient interest of the public is. Jail is terrible for anybody, but for someone who's used to having people wait on them hand and foot and never stands in line and always, gets front row and gets the best table and gets to have the exact opposite, what a life-changing moment. I mean, it's just incredible. And, it brings into context our whole system of innocent till proven guilty. Why is he not being given bond? And, we could debate that all day long. Of all people that's unlikely to flee or get away, well, he's got the resources to flee, but he's so recognizable. And isn't he innocent till proven guilty? Well, yeah, but, we have to recognize there are degrees of innocent till proven guilty. When you have this much evidence and so much stuff out there, does that affect the judge's decision whether to grant bond or not? And you can't think as a human being the judge isn't thinking that some people are more likely to be guilty than others. But the system says you're innocent until proven guilty, and it's sort of a shame that he's in jail. And what if he's vindicated? What if he's acquitted? Then how do you ever give him back those few months of incarceration? Just a lot of things going on here.
A win for Diddy, potentially, that a new judge has been assigned to the case. Do you think it's possible now that this new judge reconsiders and takes the defense up on this giant bail package?
Well, Sierra, anything's possible, right? But now this judge has an even harder time, I think, because the past judge locked him up, didn't let him out, and he's still there available for trial. If the new judge lets him out on bond and something goes wrong, and this isn't the analysis that I'm proud to make, right? We shouldn't be saying, well, judges are worried about their own skin and how they look if something bad happens. And maybe this new judge has a broader view and says, you know what? If he's willing to part, and again, I don't think the money's the issue. $50 million is a high bond, but it's not a question of how bad was the crime. The bond issue is, what is the likelihood that this person would avoid trial and skip town and forfeit their bond? Most people would rather go to trial than give up $100,000. But he apparently has the money and the wherewithal to say, if there's a chance I'm going to jail for the rest of my life, they can keep the $50 million. I'm going to some country where they can't extradite me. So the amount of money is really not as telling as the fact that all these other accommodations, they can't find one that secures the judge in his mind or her mind that, okay, he's not going to be able to leave town with those restrictions in place. I'm comfortable. But, at least the lawyers know what's been turned down before, and they're getting another crack at it. You never know.
And is appealing again to try and get himself bailed. We don't know whether that's going to be successful or not, but people are labeling it highly unlikely. I've said before, Diddy's in a world of trouble. Believe it or not, on a day like today, he ain't even a story. When you got 120 people that are going to levy allegations against him, his situation looks too daunting to even comprehend anything positive about it. But it's also so bad that there's more bodies that's gonna fall. See, right now, what we have to start thinking about, I hate to do this. I swear to you. And that's why I ain't gonna mention no names, ain't gonna show no faces, no pictures. I ain't doing all of this. Let me say this. Everybody that's been around him. I'm not talking about taking a picture with him like I did at a Go to Say Warriors game. I'm not talking about showing up to some party and then you find out it was a Diddy party. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who were part of his crew, who were around him a lot, who were complicit somehow, in some way. To me, and I'm just guessing, I'll find out whether it's factual or not with my next guest, but I'm telling you, you don't sit up there and have a press conference like my guest in a couple of minutes did yesterday and announce that you got 120 clients with 120 separate allegations. And all you looking for is the dude that's already behind bars. I mean, we're talking about men, women, and children. We're talking about public figure, private figures. We're talking about celebrities and private business people. We're talking about conglomerates. Hell, for all we know, he's gonna hold hotels accountable where some of these freak-offs happened.
There's really no deal that the U.S. Attorney's Office can offer, and it's certainly not one that Diddy will accept. It would involve decades in federal prison. We're talking about mandatory minimum sentences of 10 years for both the drug charges and the sex trafficking. So we know that Diddy has fought charges before. There were state charges, there were gun-related, the nightclub shooting with J-Lo, but he's going to dig in his heels, and this case is going to trial. So if you're prosecutors, you really want to make sure that your evidence is bulletproof before you go down that route.
Judges and the justices, that's so confusing for us. We've never played this game. This is another level of gangster. But I played this game before, you know? But this is the most dangerous thing we could do. This is one of the biggest threats. I'm a warrior. I've been in head-to-head with these folks in corporate America. You know what I'm saying? Like when they ask the question, is there systemic racism? And nobody answers the question. I'm like, this systemic racism, they trying to keep their foot on the neck up to my level, up to Jay-Z's level, up to LeBron's level. It's an illusion of inclusion by just a couple of us. So I could sit back here in the crib, but I'm not with that. I'm from that same block. I'm a frontliner. I'm with the smoke at any time, no matter where my address is at. We're in a war. This shit is not a fucking game. Everybody needs to wake up. I'm ringing the alarm. Oh, we get down to the...
In an obvious sign of growing despair after being turned down twice, Diddy has now made a third bail request. This one shows how desperate he is to get out of jail, given the terrible allegations he is facing. The court's serious worries about the seriousness of the claims and Diddy's possible flight risk are suggested by the repeated denials. Diddy appears to be having trouble getting temporary freedom despite his not guilty plea, which has led many to fear that his circumstances are becoming more unstable. Although it is unclear if the court will change its mind, Diddy's case has recently undergone major developments. Judge Andrew Carter, who had earlier denied Diddy's bail requests, was removed and Arun Submanan was assigned to take over. Diddy's persistence in seeking bail shows the hardship his detention is causing. This change in the legal system may provide Diddy with a new chance to request bail and could even change the result of his case. Diddy's legal team may be able to present their case in a different light in 2023, hoping for a more favorable result as they navigate the serious charges against him. Judge Submanan, nominated by President Joe Biden and having taken the bench, brings a fresh viewpoint to the case. Amidst growing legal hurdles, Diddy has made a significant move to bolster his defense by bringing in a fresh group of accomplished lawyers. His legal team will have a tough time navigating a complex case that has already seen his bail denied twice. With serious charges like trafficking, racketeering, and abduction on the table, this calculated move suggests that he is aware of the importance of the situation and is willing to go to great lengths to secure his freedom. Diddy's legal team, led by lawyer Mark Agnifilo, has maintained his innocence and promised to battle valiantly to clear his name. Notable lawyers on the team include Alexandra Shapiro, who has defended high-profile clients in the past, such as FTMX's Sam Banksman. Even though Diddy chose to hire a new team of powerful attorneys, it will be difficult to turn around the case because the trial judge has already denied Diddy's request for bail twice. The judge's decisions have shown that they are serious about the charges, so it will be challenging to overturn earlier decisions or win leniency. The new legal team may offer fresh ideas, but persuading a judge who has shown little patience for Diddy's legal maneuvers will be a big obstacle. The court's fears about his possible flight, regardless of the legal talent on board, the case's risk and seriousness of the claims make it more difficult to shift direction. Diddy has a track record of dubious behavior and lying about his transgressions, but lying in court has more, harsher consequences. Sincerity under oath is highly respected by the legal system, and any hint of perjury can result in criminal charges with fines and jail time.